Good morning from a very, very hot Thailand. Broken, episode 13, and it is all sort of broken on this episode. Martin, with the idea of bringing his Thai daughter over before she's 15, is saving hard for that possible cost. And right now his daughter's 7. With a taxi, it costs a lot of money to keep your taxi on the road, maintenance, servicing, and his car was starting to get a little bit older and worse for wear, and he hadn't really thought about this. A lot of the time you get a new car on finance, lease, and it's not too bad, but it does add up the cost. Whilst on his 1-month trip in April, the person he'd rented his car to contacted him and had blown the engine up on his car. It was about 3 weeks into the trip, so it was a case of turn around and go home, and he was down in Koh Chang. It's a shame, but managed to change his ticket, got home. It just wasn't worth repairing, but he had to have a vehicle ready to start work again. There was no choices, and he didn't like the idea of getting a brand new car and financing it up to the hill. He'd rather have one a few years old. So he decided to write that car off and get a new one, and there's a lot of expense with getting the plate put on the car and MOTs and all, as well as getting the car. He went to the bank, looked at his account. He'd saved about £8,000 towards bringing the daughter over. Car, he was going to have to pay about £10,000, but he had bits lying around. He sort of could scrape it together, but it's back to zero and starting again. So he decided no, he wasn't going to get a loan, but he inquired about a loan. And at this point it started realizing about the mistake he had by selling his house. He didn't have equity. Yes, he could get a private loan, a personal loan with no equity. So in the UK you can get a personal loan just on your income, but because he'd been working for so many months and not paying tax, or very small tax, his income wasn't really high enough. The bank wasn't happy with his numbers. He was in rented accommodation. They did say, yeah, okay, we will offer you if you want a £2,000 or £3,000 loan, but we're not really happy to. So they did yes and no. Anyway, he went no. Went out, got a car, got it all through, got it on the road, tested, and a reasonable nice car. Back to work. Now he's like gone back to zero. So daughter in Thailand, 7. Over the next 4 years he cut his holidays to just the Christmas holiday, and he worked throughout 10 months. Worked 14 hours a day, 14 hours a night. Just worked constantly. All he did was eat, sleep and work. 3-4 years. Now his daughter was 11. He wasn't going to get enough money saved. The economy sort of took a dip. The work dropped off a bit. It was becoming a battle. Also, visa. He'd started to look at visas and dual citizenship. Could he get his daughter over? Could she become a British citizen? He'd started inquiring, and the laws were getting tougher. Immigration were getting tighter, and it was getting more and more worrying. He wanted to get his daughter over desperately. Now he was coming to the stage, he's got 4 years maximum, really, because as soon as she goes past sort of 16, there's that chance that she's going to get lured away by the mother. Also, as she approaches 16, 17, 18, becomes an adult, immigration are going to say no, 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 no way for bringing her over. He was in a real quandary, really working his heart out. He talked to a lot of people, and that other friend who brought the daughter over, who was struggling with his daughter, but surviving. He was having a hard time of it. Daughter was growing up great, but he was just having a hard time with work himself. Everything. And this is now about 4 years ago. So we're in about 2016. Things were just getting tougher all round. But he kept plodding on. He kept his head down, saving as much as he could. His kids were fabulous. Everything was going well. And he came back over at the end of that year at Christmas, just after Christmas. And it was great to see him. And he told me everything and the way it was all going back in the UK and work and everything. And he changed some of his taxi work to similar things I was doing, a bit of chauffeuring, and well, you just tried everything to get money, any which way you could. But it was tough, he said, really tough now. The money wasn't as good, there was more taxi drivers, there was less work. He was really struggling, even with the long hours, and he was worried about his daughter. But there was nothing he could do. Whilst it just arrived in Pattaya, he'd gone up and Wa was actually there, and he chatted away to her, and he started asking her about her thoughts of him taking their daughter back to the UK. Now, I would have thought that she wouldn't have cared less. I would have thought that she would have been over the moon, because it's one less responsibility for her. She was sending money back to the home as well. But she flipped on him. She absolutely went mad on him and said there's no way she was going to allow him to take their daughter back to the UK. Now, why did she do that? It's got to be money. Now, our friend had to pay the mother of his child about £7,000 or £8,000 as a sweetener. Now, whether Wara knew girls that this had happened to, or she'd heard stories, but she was adamant there's no way. Well, this completely upset Martin. He did not expect this, and I didn't either. I thought she'd be over the moon. He came back to the bar in a really down mood, very cheesed off. Said, I just can't believe it. If she's not going to let me in any way, it would cost 10 times the money to fight it through the courts. And he would have to get so much proof that either she was neglecting her daughter, wasn't caring, and just giving her, being a bad mother. But okay, she'd been inside a couple of times, but over the years, the last years, she hadn't. She had kept out. He's basically saying the only way I could possibly win is if she gets banged up again. But, oh dear. What a sort of shock to him. And he just arrived. Anyway, he's going up to the village to see his daughter. And she's growing so quick. And he went up and saw her. And wanted to bring her down and go to Koh Chang with her. But the mother and sister weren't happy with it, and they'd rung Wa, and Wa said no, no way. Maybe in the future she'd agree if he took Wa and the daughter to Koh Chang or something. Things must be getting tight in Thailand for Wa. She's on a money hunt now, and every time she saw him she asked him for money. He's going to be battling the system about taking a child from one country to another, even though it's his daughter. He's done everything right. What can he do? What can he do? Not a lot at the moment. It's just a case of get on with the holiday. He spent 3 weeks up in the village, he came back down, saw me, and then went off to Koh Chang and spent 3 weeks there. Had a great time with his sort of part-time girlfriend. She was great, and he obviously talked to her a lot about it and told her about his daughter, but no help there really, except that she said a lot of the girls know that they can get a lot of money out of a foreigner if the foreigner wants to take the child. In some cases they can get visiting rights as well in the deal, which would be huge money. Having to pay for what, to come to the UK to see her daughter? Yeah. But Martin's getting more and more scared that the daughter will follow the mother's footsteps, because it's boring in the village. A lot of his daughter's friends, even at 11 years old, families, girls, mothers, aunties, are off and coming back and talking about the bright lights of the cities and how life's wonderful near the beach, or the money they're making. As a 11-year-old girl, she's impressionable. She sees money coming back. She sees the girls with the gold and the nice clothes, the motorbike, the scooters. She's starting to see pharangs pop up near their village. More and more as the years go by, there's more and more foreigners settling down in Thailand. And it's understandable why so many of the girls from the village just get fed up farming the fields or working in a little convenience store, not seeing much happening in the villages. You can see the lure, and that is what is really worrying him, and he knows this could likely happen. Even though he talks to his daughter and he's been teaching her English for these years, her English is getting better and better, and his Thai's getting better. Spending time with a neighbour Farang who'd been through similar things in his life. It's a battle. It's a huge battle coming up. What can he do? But more time he spends with his daughter, the better quality of life he's having with her. She's fabulous. He's financing everything. He's helped upgrade the house that she's living in. He's playing football with the kids in the village, and just really integrated in the village every time he's there. They love seeing him. He always brings little gifts for the kids and the neighbours and the family. And this trip he brought a bit of extra money, and his daughter at 11 years old wanted a mobile phone, and he brought her a nice one, which opens up another huge rabbit hole for kids. Social media, getting to see what people are doing around the world, around Thailand. It just sort of emphasises, where's the mother, what's the mother doing? And there's talk of Wa was saying how she wanted to take her daughter to show her Pattaya. This came up somewhere in one of the conversations, and this is just frightening for Martin. And he's saying to his daughter he really didn't want her to go anywhere near Pattaya. Beach is okay, go to Koh Samet, Koh Chang. And he started to say to her, look, next trip we'll see if I can take your mother and you. And he started planting the seed to maybe take her to Koh Chang, but really didn't want to introduce his daughter to see the bar scenes and what the mother was doing. What a tricky position to be in, when your daughter's only really seen a local city to where she lives and the village life. He's got a battle coming, big battle coming. What would you do in that situation if you didn't have the money, the resources? Now, going back to the UK, if he made a visa application, let's just say to take his daughter for a tourist visa for a holiday, this would have to be his first step. Look what happened with his mother. Came to the UK, hated it, and come back. Maybe the daughter would hate it. But just to get that visa application for a minor to come and have a holiday with you, when he started looking at the visa applications, and he did start looking many a time, he would have to show that he's in a stable life, earning X amount of money. He's got somewhere for the daughter to live, with no recourse to the health, public funds, NHS, hospital, all the rest of it. And he's sharing a house with 2 or 3 other guys. What's that like for, would it be like for an 11-year-old girl? Not good. It's not his house. He's earning enough money to pay a little bit of tax, but again, like the bank, where they sort of weren't happy to give him money if he wanted it. It suddenly all stacks up against him. And it's at this point that he's starting to realise, even if he saved £15,000-20,000 for a court battle to get his daughter over, would they actually be able to say, yes, come over, because you've got nowhere safe for her to live? You're working 14, 18 hours a day. What sort of family life would that be for her in a foreign country, sharing a house with 3 other male adults? It's all suddenly stacking up against him. What can he do? Oh. Anyway, let's leave it there, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe. Bye for now.